Hey, everybody. My name is Carlos Luna, and this is.
TK Johnson. I'm not allowed to call you nerds because Carlos said he'd fire me.
That's right. I did prep. I did prep TK right before we went live. Not to name call anyone. TK is filling in for Victoria Rogers today. TK, thank you for joining me.
Hey, what's up? I had a free afternoon and not much to do except work. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take a 4-hour lunch.
Yeah, and just hang out with Carlos and talk about dynamic lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Yeah.
What is dynamic lighting? I'm fairly new to Roll20.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right into it. If you are watching this in the future, such as YouTube, you're watching this VOD on YouTube, this is an hour-long show that we do live on Twitch to talk about different things on Roll20. This is not a concise tutorial. We're here just showing off different parts of the system and answering questions that people have live in the chat. So, dynamic lighting. What's the best way to describe? I think dynamic lighting is the best way to describe dynamic lighting. It's giving your map that extra level that shows interaction with your tokens and light at the same time, or your environment and light at the same time.
Kind of gives it like an added dimension.
Yeah, it like kind of brings it all to life. And there's like different, that's the thing, like there's different viewpoints that you can be having while you're using up dynamic lighting. So like, think about like, there's a difference between a house with windows all open, right? And sun's coming in during the day. And then like that same house with all the curtains drawn at night, right? Like different light is appearing in different places from different sources. And a lot of, Dungeons and Dragons has to do with like line of sight and what your characters can or cannot see, or what they can see in the dark, actually, are big mechanics. So,
usually I just have my home players just turn off all the lights and kind of roll blindly, see how it goes. But no, of course not. That would be absurd.
So this is another fun part of our relationship is I'm very gullible and believe everything that my friends tell me. And TK is constantly sarcastic. So I don't know what's real.
Monster. I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's great. I knew that was going to happen regardless. Katie was like, they're going to bully you. And I was like, yeah, probably. Let's jump right in. This is, people always want to know about dynamic lighting. If you are new to Roll20, dynamic lighting is a feature available to Plus and Pro subscribers. So a Plus account, I believe, is $5 a month, and a Pro is $10. Or you can buy per year, and then it's $50 and $100. So it's like 15% off if you buy in a year. So that's what these features are. So if you're interested in this, that's how you can get it to work in your game. These are also features available in a lot of the games that you buy on Roll20, a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons games that you get on Roll20, the maps, a lot of them. I don't know if I can say all of them, but I'm pretty sure almost all of them include some form of dynamic lighting.
And a lot of them will say on the marketplace whether or not they have dynamic lighting functionality, which is very cool. And you can even get ones if you're like not feeling dynamic lighting, you can get that same adventure for a lot of them without the dynamic lighting. So that's great too if you want to put the light wherever you want to put it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, and that's the thing. Like, if you want to make it yourself, you can. So I guess the best way we're going to jump right in and just like get started with it. Right now we are looking at a map and we have a few tokens like already set up. And this is a Ravenloft map, I think.
Which is perfect because dynamic lighting does so well in like atmospheric spooky games.
Yeah.
It's like what's around the corner. You're not going to know.
And that's the thing. Like it all depends on your token. And it all depends on that environment. So there's like different tokens or different characters have, different specialties. They can see so far in the dark or they can't see at all, or they have no vision. So dynamic lighting the way I like to explain, and if there's questions, if you have questions, I'm sure someone already in the chat have explained this. But if you have questions for us in the chat, just title it question in the beginning, and then put your question in there. We'll be going through those as we move on. Also, if you have your own tips, if you're in the chat right now and you have your own tips on how you set things up or how you like to, explain these things, like definitely let us know. There are, I feel like every couple of months someone explains something different to me or their use case for it or how they set things up. And it just always blows my mind where I'm like, oh, it is much simpler. Like making columns with an X instead of making like a hexagon. Like, have you ever done that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So that's a big trick that I learned that I was like, oh, this is going to save me so much time. So anyways, here we go. Here's the map. Dynamic lighting, I like to split into 2 moving parts. So if you're watching this, and we're going over updated dynamic lighting. There is an old version, and they both are running at the same time right now. They will be running up to at the same time for a while, so you can use either or. So if you have a game set up using old dynamic lighting, you can continue using that the way it is. But if you want to try the new one, it's in the tab and it's literally labeled updated dynamic lighting. So there are two components for it, right? The first one being your page. So that's the page that we're on right now. So the options that are on this page and that are selected. And then the second one is the token itself. So what properties does the token have? So page properties, page settings, and token settings. Those
essentially,
are the
what is the environment and how does your character react to the environment?
100%. I find that a lot of people that are new to Roll20 think like, oh, I turned on dynamic lighting. Why doesn't it work? Or why isn't it working? Why is the screen all black? And the reason is you need to set up your tokens you need to tell your tokens how to react when they're in that environment. They're not automatically set. You have to set them. Or you have to have your game setting set for all characters to have similar settings. And we'll go over that in a minute. So the first place I like to start is in the page settings. So we hit this little blue page toolbar at the top, and we'll go to the map that we're in. We'll hit the page settings icon, the gear icon. And we get this little page settings pop up. And the first tab is where old dynamic lighting is. So if we scroll in there, you have Fog of War, Advanced Fog of War, Dynamic Lighting. This is Legacy. We are not going over that today. We're going to be going over updated dynamic lighting because that's the system that Roll20 will be moving to. So right now this system is not turned on this page, and you can decide from page to page. So if you have a map that you don't want to do any dynamic lighting on, if you have a page that you don't want to do any dynamic lighting, you don't have to turn it on at all. So if you're like have a beach or whatever, you're on the sun.
On the sun.
That's the only 2 use cases I could think of in real time, because I'm trying to think of like, where's there a light that never turns off? Oh, I know. I'm a genius. It's definitely the sun.
It could be midday in the desert. Yeah. It could just be midday outside where, you don't have like a lot of shadows or anything like that.
I guess, but at a certain point it's going to turn dark, but the sun never turns dark, GK. I don't know if you know that. Anyways.
You're right. Technically, which I guess is the best kind of right to be.
That's the best type of right I want to be in life. It's just technically right.
I have a couple of questions from the chat if you're okay with that.
Yeah. Let's
All right. So we've got is there a way to do daylight mode that just fills the outside of the map with light and respecting the dynamic lighting outlines?
Oh, interesting. I like that question a lot because so daylight, we're skipping ahead, but daylight mode kind of turns the light on for everyone. Like it's basically like an easy way to flip the switch and turn the lights on in your entire map.
Especially if you don't want to put in a bunch of torches.
And it works if you're saying that like, hey, you're no longer at night, so I can turn off dynamic lighting, all the windows are open, and we'll say your character can see in any room,
Yeah, you're on the sun.
Yeah, you're not going to, set up all that stuff. But yeah, that's a really good question, because like, what do you do if you're looking at this map right now? The question would be, what do you do with all this stuff on the outside if the sun's on right now?
If the sun is on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I tried to move very quickly with that mistake. I'm really
gotcha.
You know what, chat? I'm really fortunate that TK keeps me grounded. But yeah, so what would you do in that case? You know what? I think you can play around with adding tokens that can cover a large space, because you would make this, you would make a you would set up your dynamic lighting, these green lines. So then it might be good to like take a light source that's outside and change the settings on it to be really big, so it emits a lot of light. So that could be an option. It would take a while though, wouldn't it? I don't know. Let me think about that, because I think that's a really good question that I have not thought about. But yeah, what if you want to simulate the light outside?
Yeah. And then the second question is, does the new dynamic lighting do restrict movement automatically, or do you still have to click it in the legacy dynamic lighting?
It should do it. I believe it should be doing it automatically. I believe it won't. Yeah. So here's the restrict movement. I believe that it's automatic, but you know what? It wouldn't be here.
Actually, since we're on that, what does restrict movement mean? What does that mean?
Yeah. So essentially, if you set up these lines here, so we're kind of skipping ahead, but if you set up these lines, this would be, we made these lines, right? We went to a dynamic lighting layer, like that you would see right here. So the map background, the objects and tokens, the GM overlay, dynamic lighting. We click on dynamic lighting layer and we see all the stuff that we put in here. And this is usually invisible. This is invisible to all your players, right? They don't see these green lines. You actually only see these green lines if you're clicked on the dynamic lighting layer. So the restrict movement would mean that, so if I have a token and I was a player, I wouldn't be able to drag them past that line right there. Like I can move it because I'm a GM and I can move anywhere I want. But if I was a player, I wouldn't be able to like move through these lines, and therefore I wouldn't be able to see what's inside that room there.
Okay.
So
like a little wall.
Yeah. So you basically make walls for your token, for, you know, the tokens that are there. I believe that it defaults to on. It might be in the game settings though. So we can pop out later on and double check to see if that's an automatic setting. I believe that it's turned on. You might have it off in some games because it might be like a legacy thing. But all your new games should have it. And we'll test that out because that's a really good question too.
Now, if I draw those walls in legacy, will they still be there if I switch over to updated? Like, will they still work? Or
so whether you're using it, it's how you started your game. So if you started your game in legacy, you can have it converted into updated lighting. You can have it converted so you can use it and update it and use the updated features. But once you do that, you lose like any of like the Explorer stuff that you've done, or any of that other stuff will get reset. So like if you're playing a really long campaign and you're like, oh, they've unlocked this, but not that. Before trying updated dynamic lighting, make sure it's something that you want to change and that you would feel comfortable with doing new things with, you know? Because like that's, you know, I get that. Like you have a game going, you have the board set up exactly the way you want it. And that's why we're running both of the systems at the same time. So you just like don't lose the stuff that you have. Anyways, going back to those two parts. First part, page settings. So we're going to go to the page settings. We're going to go to dynamic lighting and we're just going to turn it on. There's these little switches here. And basically there are 3 different types of dynamic lighting that you could have turned on. Just ordinary dynamic lighting, Explorer mode, and daylight mode. This little slider here controls what I see based on what the players might see, if that makes any sense. It kind of gives you an a translucent view of what your players are in. So you can still see everything, even though they can't. And I'm going to teach you a button. Oh, not you, but like everyone watching.
Generalized universal you, but also me.
Yes. So we're going to turn this on. Dynamic lighting is on. We'll go through those other features. And like, yeah, so we have it turned on. And we can see so right now, it kind of doesn't look that much different. We can kind of see what our players see. Hold on 1 second. There we go. So this is one of our tokens that we have, and we have it already set up. So you can kind of see it moving around, dynamic lighting. And
this little Ken Q. Look at his little eyes. He looks like they look like the ice cream version that you would get.
The ice cream version?
Yeah, like SpongeBob or the
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
It's like, I want a penguin popsicle, and it just looks like this. I know it's supposed to be Kenku, but it's just like, bah!
He definitely, he's making it work.
This is what I like about Updated, where the lines of the shadows are soft.
Yes. So if we look at, the first part was, let's look at, I'm going to turn everything off for this token right now. And we're going to take a look at it. So again, first part, page. Let's change the page options. Second part, let's change the settings on our token. So we have this token, and we want to know what this token is seeing, because right now it looks like they're in darkness, but maybe they're seeing something ahead. Maybe they can see what I see. They see all these corners and that. If you ever want to check on this, it's really simple. Just click your token and hit Control L, and it'll show you the view that your player is seeing at that moment. So our players, if they were, playing, if they had this character, this is what their screen would look like right now. And I just click off of it to get back to my view. So again, click off. Really simple. This will save you. I've seen people play with dynamic lighting, and they have another tab open where they have like a player version. They make another account and they have a player version because, and they're skipping back and forth, but that's not necessary. You can just set up your game how you want it. So we'll double click on this token, and we'll go to dynamic lighting tab right at the top. And we're going to say that this token, so these are the options for tokens, right? Your token can have vision. Your token can have night vision. Your token can produce a bright light, and your token can emit a low light. And we'll figure all those things out as we go on. So let's say this Kenku has
emitting lights. That's like if they had a lantern or something.
Yeah. So that would be like if they had a lantern or a torch or a flashlight or whatever game you're playing. But it also means that like when you emit light, other players can see that token.
Oh, right? Yeah. That makes sense. It's external as opposed to internal. Exactly.
So it doesn't, like, if you didn't have any vision and I equipped a bright light to this token, they would see darkness. Like that player would still see darkness because even though they're emitting light, the person who controls that token has no vision. So like that's something that you also have to understand. A token doesn't necessarily have to be a character. A token can be, this torch right here.
Or a table.
It could be a table.
Or an airplane.
Or it could be an elephant or a hippo.
a pterodactyl, a brooch, a hat.
Well, not a brooch. But it can definitely, I don't know.
Anything but those brooches.
Anything but brooches. We're working on a brooch patch at Roll20 right now.
Brooch parody.
We're trying to get the brooch parody. But yeah, so let's turn on vision for this creature and let's see what they see. So I saved it. They have vision, and I'm going to hit Control L again, and I see them because I guess we can say that they see themselves, that they have vision.
Yeah, because we're God in this world.
Yeah. So they understand what they can see their token, but they don't see anything. And the reason they don't see anything, even though you as a DM see something, is because there's no light in this room. If I were to take this character over to, so if I take him over to these stairs over here, and then I check again, still nothing. But let's say they open this door that's right here, and I let them into this room. Well, there's a light in this room.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I saw that light up in real time, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. And the whole environment reacts, right? So like as I move him around, let me move this up here. So the entire environment reacts to it. So as his view becomes obstructed from this corner, he can't see that statue anymore, or they can't see the statue anymore. And how this is being done, if I click off Control L, or just click off, sorry, and I look at the dynamic lighting layer, I can see that there is a little light source put in the middle of this room. Again, they don't see it. I see it. As the GM, I see it. And if I double click it, I can see in the dynamic lighting tab that they have set up, this token emits light up to 50 feet and it has low light of to 20 feet.
Oh, it's like a little brazier.
Yeah, like a little gradient.
It's formed this into like, yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so you can drop. So if you want to get really fancy with your stuff, you can start dropping little like torches everywhere. If you want, you can. So there's a torch right here. We can move. Let me go over here. We can move this torch. So the torch again. This torch right here. It doesn't have any vision. It doesn't have any night vision. But again, it emits a light, both a bright light and a low light. So when we move it, when we move the two out of each other's paths, if you move the two out of each other's paths, you notice like neither of them can see. One of them has no vision, and then the other one who does have vision has no light. So they kind of need each other.
Aw, best friends.
Yeah, that's the relationship with fire that I have. We're just best friends. You're like, I wonder where he's going with that.
It's just like, well.
And how you get this all set up? Like, so how do you get this all set up? So again, those two parts on how to turn it on. That's if you bought a module with Roll20 and something like that's if you got something with dynamic lighting set up. But how do you get these green lines, right? Like, let's say you want to do this yourself. You got a pro account, you got your own map, maybe you subscribe to like someone's Patreon that makes maps and you got, you want to set up, these walls and these doors. And if you look right here, these little red things are bars, right? If I move a character through there, let's see, mess that up. So if I move a character through there with light, you'll notice that these little bars kind of light up.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, like, what are those bars? Are they just like, are they doors? What are they?
It could be a jail. It's probably a jail. Like you could kind of see it like these bars.
Like bars, they're just do they change the way the light hits? That's
yeah. Well, they obscure light. So this elf right here has dark vision, but they can't see through metal bars, right? So like they can see in between the cracks of the metal bars.
Oh, yeah. So it adds like some texture to the light and darkness.
Yeah. So
it adds one more layer of dimension when you think
exactly.
about it.
So this is a good way to like look at it. This area right here, where we have these columns. And if I turn on, this is what our player sees as they move through these columns. It's always like, no joke, I've played in this level so many times. And I'm always just like, oh my God, it looks so good when it moves.
It does look really good. I like a lot about the updated dynamic.
So that's that.
Oh my gosh, going around the columns is so wild.
Yeah, so this person has, this elf has night vision. So that's why they're able to see without a torch. But yeah, if someone's interested, again, we don't have that much time. It's only an hour-long show. If we look at the dynamic lighting layer, I go on the left-hand side, I click dynamic lighting. How we get all of these lines in there is right below it, there is a tool, the polygon line. And it says directions on there. Hold shift to snap to grid. hit Control Z to undo the last point, or right click to escape and complete your object. So it's really simple. We click on polygon line, and let's say we want it to make, we can control the color up here at the top. So let's make this, I don't know, let's make it red, I guess. And you can control the line thickness. So we'll pick large. And let's say we wanted to make a wall right here. I just click. I can hold down Shift, and it'll make a straight line for me. And let's say I'm done, so I'll just hit right click. And then now it's there.
Oh, snap.
And then if I move, you'll notice, one second. If I move this token, you could already see that there's some type of invisible wall here for them. So that'd be a way to like easily block characters' line of sight as well.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if there's a way to like toggle stuff.
Toggle it on and off?
Yeah. Like toggle it without like moving it.
I know of. That's a good question, because everything in dynamic lighting layer kind of works by itself. That's a really good question. You can group them together. You can move to front, move to back. So you can always move it to another layer. So I guess you could always just like send it to the GM layer. Yeah. So we sent it to the GM layer right now. And that quickly, if we go to, we see it because we're still logged in as the GM, but our player wouldn't see that line if it's in the GM layer. We see it because we're logged in as GMs. That's a really simple way to do it.
Like just switching the layer over.
Yeah, and just like throwing it up there. And a lot of these, again, if you go to the layer tab and see background, objects, tokens, GM, like people do a lot of things just switching components and objects into those layers. But yeah, you can, in the dynamic lighting layer, anything can be represented in dynamic lighting. Did you just draw a smiley face?
I just wanted to show you that I was learning from what you taught me.
That's awesome. That's so funny.
Promise I'm going to select it very carefully and not destroy your walls and doors.
It's so funny because I'm like, oh, look at that. I'm like, I was looking at it, I was like, did I just draw a smiley face on accident and not know? But yeah, going back, if your players, let's say your players are going through this section right now, right? They're going through this area, and these are all doors, these little white areas right there. Let's say they want to open them. It's really simple. Like for doors, I make a different color just so I know that there's a door there, and it's really easy for me to find it. Yeah. And you just don't close off the box. You just leave it open, and then you do a small little line right there that you can just move for them. Go in or just like put it to that side or whatever.
I guess you could like rotate it like 90 degrees so that.
So yeah, some people do this. A lot of people actually do this. The little curve thing.
Yeah.
So people do updated dynamic lighting, polygon layer, and because everyone is seeing this themselves, they might do like this. Oop, come on. And that way, when they go to like grab it, they can just like, how do they do this? Because it doesn't rotate yet. I forget. But there's a way to like rotate it so it kind of blocks the door, like it kind of blocks the area like a door. But yeah. What else? Quick tip, if you're having some lag problems with dynamic lighting, make sure you're not using circles. So a circle has like 1 million points on it for light. So your computer will start reading like 1 million points of like light and refracting that light, so we recommend you do circles with lines. Like if you have to do something round, just like this right here, like 1 line, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of cut through it. Instead of like, like there's a circle tool that you can use and it will really bog down your system. Yeah. But I think that's pretty much it.
I know you mentioned going to the GM layer. What if I don't want to? How do I get there fast? Like with my keyboard?
Oh yeah. So all the all the layers have hotkeys and advanced keyboard shortcuts. So hotkeys to go through those layers quickly. It's Control O, Control K, Control M. And a good way to remember it is they're all in a row. O being objects and tokens. M being the map layer. K, it's GM, which maybe because K is between G and M.
I want to put this elf on the GM layer.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to move them there. It's Control Shift.
How do I do that and get there? Whoa, I moved it. Oh, geez.
Control Shift
up already.
Control Shift will move the token there. I believe you have to have advanced keyboard shortcuts to move and to switch. Oh, that should be it. Yeah, that should work, right?
Wait, yeah, you should do. Are you sure it's Control Shift? Maybe it's, what does K do? Did that work? No.
It should be Control Shift. O, Control Shift K.
Oh, so I didn't hit K. I'm silly.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it.
Yeah. And you can select a wide group of things at the same time to do that.
Okay, so if I hit Control Shift O, I can take it back to the token layer and I'll also be on the token layer.
Yes.
So it's just like I don't have to click a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes. And that's the thing, like it kind of, I don't know what, I mean, I use like the Adobe suite. So like I'm constantly using shortcuts. And I know a lot of people don't use shortcuts. So like if you're going to be spending a lot of time on this and you want to get like super fast keyboard shortcuts, that's the way to go.
Well, I think that's awesome because like if this is a character that's like lying in wait on my GM layer, it's like secretly in stealth. I can just hit Control Shift O and boom, they jumped out of hiding, and now I can enter the initiative order with the players to initiate combat without clicking 5,000 things.
Yeah, and also you can just like leave them there. Like sometimes I'll leave something there that I know they'll pass, and I'll secretly say that like you woke them up, and as they pass them, they already walked through the space. Then it's there when they turn around. So the other parts of dynamic lighting that I want to touch on is when that would be useful, and that would be useful in Explorer mode. So Explorer mode, let's turn that on. And it works exactly like it sounds. As you explore, it saves your history. It saves your history for your player. So let's say we have this elf right here. And
obsessed with this elf.
They start moving, choosing maps in background. They start moving around this area. So as they move through the area, it should be, let's see. Oh no, hold on. Did I not save it? I've been like closing out of stuff and not hitting OK.
I saw you open it and immediately close it. So I have no idea if you saved it.
Yeah, so this should, so move this around. Huh. It's not, what am I doing wrong here? Let's see. Hold on, let me reset this.
Now, this used to be the advanced fog of war, right?
Yeah. So what I just did was reset Explorer mode, which should be turned on. And for whatever reason, it's not remembering where this guy is going.
But this, when it does show up, it's like whenever you play Baldur's Gate, the PC game, and it just fills out your map when you've been there, and you're like, oh yeah, I got to get rid of all the shadow parts.
Yeah, so if you're like playing some type of game that involves a map, like Don't Starve Together, or have you ever played that game?
Yeah.
You're just opening up different parts of the map, and it'll remember it for you, and it'll actually be like a lower. It'll be like black and white. In your past, yeah. The other option would be, and it might be because we both have it open at the same time, but let me see if daylight mode.
What if you try it from their point of view? Did you try it with Control L? Maybe it fills out for them.
Yeah.
As opposed to us looking at it in GM mode.
No, it's not. It's definitely not working.
Curse you, little elf.
Yeah.
You have thwarted us for the last
It could be because we're both updating at the same time. But yeah,
I have been messing around with it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, like this is what it's like in like daylight mode, where like everything is kind of just turned on all at once. So it makes it easier to like move around areas. You don't have to worry about like making sure there's a torch in every area. Making sure that there's a torch on the wall, like some type of light source, like your players can just see. They're still obstructed by things because you have dynamic lighting still turned on. So they obviously can't see through this area, or they can't see through walls, because they're looking at a castle. But yeah, like that. Are there any questions in the chat? I know I'm like breezing through it. It's a lot to go over in just an hour. So if you have questions, like definitely leave them. If you have ways on how you like to set up things, let us know. I'm always curious to like, all these things are just like one more tool in my toolbox.
Yeah. What about, okay, so how far can we set night vision? Can we set it to only like 10 feet, or can we set it to 100 feet? What does that look like?
Good question. So let's say we have this guy right here, right? I'm going to turn off daylight mode. Come on. Yeah, let's turn off daylight mode here. Explore mode and daylight mode. Do that. Okay. So let's say this guy has night vision. Well, you have to have vision to have night vision. So let's turn that on. And let's say they have 10 feet, right? So right there.
Oh, so cool. Look at this little radius. Bless.
And it looks like,
so this could be like a candle compared to a torch if they were emitting light as opposed to night vision, right?
Yeah, so they look a little different actually. So this one has night vision. So it's a crisp line around the edges on it.
Yeah.
But if we go into it, and let's say they have bright light and a low light of like, let's say 5, right? We can start seeing the difference. See how it's soft around the edges?
Look how soft it is. Yeah.
So they definitely have like night vision in here. But let me see. Yeah. So the circle is just like a little bit different because there's runoff, so cool. Right?
That's probably so spooky in like a Call of Cthulhu game.
Yeah.
It's so spooky.
Yeah, so we notice that there's like a gradient right there as they move through because they see, what did we set it to? 20 feet and then 5 feet. So the first 20 feet are all viewable, and then you can start seeing this like diminishing like low light at the end of it.
That looks so pretty. I like that.
Yeah, it's just easy to flip back and forth on it.
Okay, so I have another question. This one's for me. This wasn't one that I'm rephrasing from the chat to make it look like I thought it up.
I get it.
What if you have a person who's hiding and they have a torch or something and they're on another layer than your icon? Will the people on like the objects and tokens see a light source that's being emitted even if they're on the GM layer?
No.
If it's from another token? Whoa, they really won't?
The GM layer is just for the GM. So if they are logged in as a game master, then yes, they will. So you probably see it if you put it there, if I put it there, but a player wouldn't. The same thing with dynamic lighting. Actually, dynamic lighting, you only see the product of, right? Unless you're actually on the dynamic lighting layer, as opposed to the GM layer, which you can change the opacity to at any time. You as a GM can change that. The dynamic lighting layer, you can only see what you have set up when you click on the dynamic lighting layer. So you can only see the green lines that you've set up. If you're going to do a like light source like this, like a round light source, just upload an image. So this is an image. You can tell it's really tiny, but it's definitely a JPEG or a PNG. And it doesn't matter because your players can't see it anyways anyway. You know what I mean? Like they're just going to step over it. It's what it represents. So when we click back off to objects and tokens, it disappears. But it still exists as a light source. So
is that you expanding it to the size of the sun so that they can hang out?
Yeah, I mean the sun never goes out, so it's a good light source. I don't know if and I don't have the chat open either, so I don't know who's dragging me right now.
No one actually. People have been very kind to you. They've been very like happy to let me bully you.
I've noticed that when you're not modding in the chat, like people are very nice to me. Yeah, you're just like.
What are you trying to say, Carlos?
Nothing. I'm trying to say I'm going to power through. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that this can do. There's a lot of ways that you can use this in your game, not just like, people come up with great ways to like represent things. Like I love the columns in here. I love running a token through them. Like these bars are awesome too. If you want to do like quick and easy things, like let's say we wanted to do a column. Let's say we wanted this to be a column, right? We'll go to dynamic lighting.
I'm hacking ready.
Let's move this over here. So the light source is in the corner. And we'll just do a real quick column that represents just like right here.
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm done. That's my column. Look how easy that was.
What?
Yeah. Like you don't have to spend all day just like making this stuff because the light source is still going to work. Like, yeah, they can see in right there, but like, what are they like? They can't see through there. And that's the entire point of the column is that they can't see around that corner. So if I look like right here, like this is what my players see. Like they don't know that there's another, let me put here. Like they don't know that there's another statue right there. Because the column is obstructing it.
Yeah, because you've just deliberately diverted the light.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you do that with a or no? We already explained the problem with circles.
Yeah. Don't use circles. It's definitely.
What about a rectangle?
Yeah, everything's rectangle for sure. And that's really easy too.
I'm gonna draw a shape. When I do it now, I'm in charge.
Okay,
I'm just drawing a bunch of stuff because I didn't put it in the light, so it's just like a silly rectangle. Let me try this again.
Where are you?
I know what I'm doing. I'm going to put it over here. Boop. I did it. Look at me.
Yeah, just that simple. And now when I move this thing
Look
around,
how cool I am. Now I box you in. You'll never escape.
I mean, and you can do that too, though. Like if you have restricted movement on, if you can
buy forever,
like gelatinous cube.
Oh yes.
Oh yes, the gelatinous cube.
Take this. All part of my plan.
I mean, if you get dynamic lighting and you're not doing this in the first hour, I mean, this is pretty standard behavior for anyone who gets it in the first hour.
I kind of like it, especially if you do like the polygon or the X or something, because if they come over here, there's a column there and then they like knock down the column, you can immediately select it and destroy it. And now that's all opened up.
And it's really good for like, you're GMing and maybe you're doing combat or maybe you're, trying to show the effects after combat. It's really good just to run through the ruins and just like, okay, there's something here that's obstructing or maybe something there to kind of keep. So like when maybe your players started in this really nice castle and they got into like this big fight, right? Combat happened. At the end of it, they're still in the same environment. So if you want to give your players like a different sense, you don't have to give them a new map. You can just play with the lighting in it and just like draw some different lighting so they can't, the door's now obscured, or maybe now there's a statue that's covered up. They don't have like direct line of sight. Or maybe there's something that was living in the walls and now it's being hidden by this ruin. And that gives you reason.
Well, that's
to
horrible.
Like,
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Just sleep tight.
Okay, now I want to run back to all these little green columns over here. And what happens if we put like multiple torches in here and see what, like, just catty corner?
Which part are you at?
This one with like the big green, the green columns. Like the 14, 15, all of that.
Okay, yeah. So what do you
know what I
do?
mean with the little doors? Let's put like multiple torches in there and see what happens.
Yeah. So that's really easy. So again, like if you have a torch setup that you like, so let's click this torch and
can we copy that torch and it's the same?
Yeah. So that's another good thing. So let's
CMP that baby.
So I'm gonna make it a really light torch. Just so wait, hold on. So it emits light, -5. That's weird. So it emits light. We'll put it here.
Okay.
And we'll just like put it in this corner, and then we will right click, copy.
Okay.
And then paste. And then, I'm just hitting Control V on this stuff.
Oh, nice. If you make the token bigger, does that expand the light source, or does it just stay the same because of the footage that you put in?
I think it's from the end. That's a good question. Let's see. I think it's from the corners of the token itself. So the light source begins from the token, the token corners. Sorry, the token corners, not the center of the token. I would imagine so, but I think that's a good question. Let's try that out. Let's make it.
Yeah, because I know when you do like a spell, it's going to be centered on that thing.
Yeah,
as opposed to like around that thing.
Yeah. So let's turn off emitting light on this person, and we'll save that.
Yeah. Let's see what happens.
And notice how
that big old torch.
Yeah.
Ooh, that looks so cool.
So, and notice again that like, how come the light sources are behaving that way? It's because this torch is only 5 feet. So if I was this character, you can definitely see a torch in the distance, right?
Oh,
you can't see 10 feet in front of you though, because the torch is just literally in the distance. It's not bringing anything to focus right in front of me. So if I move, even though there's a torch again in the distance here, there's nothing directly in front of me that's lighting my path.
So cool.
So
you can see like the radius, like distant radius.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like it is from the center.
Torch?
So you were right. It is it is from the center.
Yeah, and it has a bigger radius. That's cool because that's the difference between like a candle and a bonfire, even though you've already put in how many feet it is. That's so cool.
Yeah. So this one is still set at 5, but you can see that it's 5 from the corners. So it includes the center of it. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's gotta be. Yeah, like it's from it's however big that torch is.
Plus 5.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh. That's wild. That's so wild. I'm gonna take some notes.
Yeah.
Suffer.
I think it does a really good job, and being able to switch back and forth. Like right now, this is all in my line of sight. And I still know something is glowing from the side over here. I can see a torch in the distance. I'm going to walk towards the torch. Oh, I hit a wall. I guess there's a wall right there.
Yeah. I like that the torches still like it actually makes it feel more claustrophobic to have multiple light sources.
I really like being able to see a light source in the distance. I think that's creepier for me.
Yeah.
Like if you can see like a couple of feet ahead of you, like let's say this person has night vision of also 5 feet. So I think this is like one of the scarier ways to like go through a map. Just
especially like Ravenloft.
Yeah, just seeing stuff in the distance and like not exactly knowing where everything is. Like what is happening right here between this space? I don't know. Gonna find out. Oop. Nothing. Yeah. Cool. Well, it is almost time to close up. If there's any questions, leave it in the chat. We're going to be wrapping up in a couple minutes. We have a game tonight on this channel.
We do. I'm going to be learning. I've learned so much, and so I'm going to be using some of it tonight. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Write a little Post-it note for those shortcuts.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we're playing... today is our first episode of Indoor Recess.
Little session 0, little character creation, and then we'll throw in just a little bit of role play and gameplay at the end.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. Everyone.
I especially like creating a character and being able to play them pretty much immediately.
Yeah,
cool. Get to wait a week. Nice.
Yeah, everyone is psyched. Everyone put a lot of thought into their character. I haven't done a build or anything, but I've thought about background and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so we're gonna go through all that. And you're gonna explain some stuff tonight. We're working on the Theros book, so we're gonna be living in that world. Today at what time is it at? 8?
8 p.m. your time, so 11 p.m. my time, but 8 p.m. Pacific.
You're such a trooper. Such a trooper.
I am.
Such a trooper.
Remember that on my performance review. Just so everyone's aware, Carlos is not my boss, has no firing capacity over me.
Not at all. Yeah. But, maybe someone wants to start a letter campaign or something for your review.
You know what? If you could get people to get me fired, I
am not gonna.
I would be genuinely impressed.
Why do I feel like you're just? Yeah, no. I don't even think I could accomplish. I don't think I could accomplish that, even if that was my full-time job. And again, I don't know why you mentioned this in a stream in public. I'm
just playing,
asking people. Yeah, if chat doesn't have any questions, I'm cool for wrapping this up. Do you have anything to plug? Anything that you're working on?
No. You already told everybody we're doing the game tonight, which we're all super excited for. You're going to fight a Hydra. That's going to be great.
Oh, on the first day. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Last day if I play my cards right.
Awesome. Yeah. Indoor Recess, 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. We're doing a lot of cool stuff. I've been making animations to put on stream. That I can, on a push of a button, they will show up. If you showed up to our walkthrough on Theros 2 weeks ago, you could have seen Katie May's high kick character. I have one for Masood this week.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
My hope is to make one of these once a week or maybe once every other week. So a year from now, we have 50 of them that I can just push buttons on stream and have them fly out.
It fills me with genuine joy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. If you're interested in dynamic lighting, you can check it out at Roll20. You can try free accounts. The other good thing about dynamic lighting is, if you have a group of players they're always playing with, maybe everyone can chip in for that dynamic lighting. It doesn't necessarily have to be one person. You could always gift something to somebody. So that's always an option as well.
Only the creator of the game really needs to have a Pro or Plus account. You can choose month to month. So that's $4.99 a month if you so choose, or $4.18 a month if you do a yearly subscription.
Yeah.
And then only the creator of the game needs to have that account, and then it's open for everybody.
Yeah. That's wild to me. So if you're playing literally if you're playing a campaign, you and your friends, if you're going to play a campaign over, you're going to play twice a week or whatever, for a month, okay, for $5 between 5 of you. So if each person gives $1, you could have this feature turned on, and then you're like, oh, we're not going to play for a while. Just don't pay for the next month. Just don't get it for the next month.
And honestly, if you do it monthly, whoever would have bought the pizza for the home game this time, boom, just have them send whoever created it $5.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not
you can also if you can't afford it this month or whatever, and somebody else gets it gifted or something, gets a subscription gifted, you can use the web form and just ask us to transfer the game's ownership.
That's true too. That's the other good thing. Like there's a bunch of options and a bunch of ways that Roll20 allows you to share your games and include other people in the features that other people have. So like even from like book sharing, you can do online. Like basically kind of like anything that you would be able to do at the table, they're trying to do virtually. So you can share a book at the table. You know what I mean? Like you all, if one person buys a light, you all benefit from that light. You know what I mean? Like
not the pizza though. That's still on you.
Yeah, that's and just really get the good stuff. Not that, you know, I actually like really, you know, we don't have enough time to get into my pizza preferences.
It's okay. We'll talk about it later.
Cool. Awesome. We will see you guys later. Thank you for joining us. Bye.